true fan of the Outback QB podcast, Phil the Viking. Phil, calling all the way from WA. What do you want to talk about today, mate?
Oh, I just want to check in and see how you're going, Kurt, after after the Chiefs lost. And do you think this is going to be the end of the dynasty, or because I know we had the
Curtis.
I knew this was a bad idea.
What if everyone calls in and just bags Kurt out?
Yeah, I think that may be a theme tonight.
Great start, Phil.
Look, Phil, I'm good, man. Great to chat to you. I mean, just before we put you on air, we said some nice things to each other, and you've turned on me straight away. So here we go. Look, I'm good. The irony is, Phil, I'm looking at Chris Hall, my co-host at the moment, and he's wearing my Kansas City Chiefs hat that just arrived. So,
can we explain why?
Can we explain?
You told me that my hair was quite ugly tonight or today, and I had to wear a hat, and this happened to be the only hat that was available.
That is true. His hair was out of control. But no, I'm good. Look, I have maintained for a little while, Phil, that my Super Bowl this year was the Super Bowl party, right? I just wanted that to go well, and it did go well, and it was good for the party that the Eagles won, so I'm all right.
This guy, he says that because KC lost. That's the only reason.
Yeah, very, very humble.
Well, can I ask you?
Can I ask you? Will have a better season, or
what's that, mate?
Do you think you guys will bounce back? Because I mean, it was a pretty bad defeat.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, still going.
Smacked in the Super Bowl. Absolutely bum rushed you were, Kurt.
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know.
Their starters.
I think, yeah, that's right. I think it may be a struggle. I think this was possibly the end of maybe the first dynasty. Like, you'd assume that you get a bounce back at some point with Mahomes and if Reed's still there, but they do need to refresh the roster. I think it will take a toll. They weren't as good a team during the regular season this year or last. We know that. So whether the magic and the luck has run out, I think it may have. So I'm expecting that they are still a playoff team, but maybe not dominant. Dos, do you think that's where the Chiefs are going?
Yeah, that's a fair statement. Obviously, the free agency period will give us a good indication of where the Chiefs will be at in terms of what they decide to invest and spend money on. We've mentioned the O-line. We've spoken about the receiving group. Looks like Travis Kelce will come back for another season.
Yeah.
Based on today. So the reports from today. But again, he's like I don't want to be disrespectful and say a depth player now, because he's probably not quite that. He's in between.
He's a good tight end, but not an elite tight end.
Yes, that's right. He's not your leading receiver, nor should he be. Rashee Rice coming back will obviously help that. So, yeah, but they got a lot of work to do, the Chiefs, and even in their secondary on defense as well.
Well, with Vegas, they are odds-on favourite to grab Stephon Diggs. So if that does come through, I mean,
I don't know how I feel about that either.
But you've got Rashee as your number one guy, and then you have like a Stephon.
Hopkins there too.
Yeah, if he does he sign on for another year?
Well, he's a free agent.
If he signs on, then you have like a combination maybe of Hopkins, Diggs, and Kelce, and that's not too bad.
Phil, before I let you go, I can't
I
can't let you escape without a Vikings question. I mean, I'm not trying to rub salt in your wounds, but it would be fair after the warring words. I bet you are. 14-3 regular season, knocked out in the playoffs straight away. It's weird now that you're in the position where you move on from Darnold, right? So how do you feel as a Vikings fan with JJ McCarthy coming off the year-long injury? What do you expect for next year?
I mean, I reckon it'll be good as long as we get some better protection. I mean, our two guards are pretty rubbish, but not rubbish, but we definitely need some more protection.
Yeah.
To definitely give him more time to be able to throw properly.
Do you think you're a 14-win team again, or are you mid-pack?
Look, it was hard. We definitely didn't think we were going to be anywhere near that last season. It is hard. It helps that we've got probably the best offense weapons in the league. But yeah, I don't know. I reckon it's a bit embarrassing when you have such a good season and then lose dramatically in the playoffs. So I don't know what I'd want, if I'd want to make playoffs again or have a medium season and build from there.
And it's the hope that kills you, Phil. Good luck for next year. Thanks for calling. We'll chat to you soon, mate.
No worries. Yeah.
See you, Phil.
All right, another WA caller. 2 from WA after Hawley was talking about his WA roots as well. Jack, how's it going, Jack? Big Saints man. What do you want to talk about with us today from all the way over there?
G'day. Talk about the Saints' new coaching staff a little, to be honest. I'm actually quite interested to see how this will play out.
Mm. Are you optimistic about the Kellen Moore appointment, or did you see the press conference where the owner called him Ellen instead of Kellen?
Yes, I have. Gail Benson. She's a bit Oh, look, I could talk until the cows come home about how I think she should sell the team, but we won't get into that, I guess. Honestly, I don't. The best way I can sort of think of it is a Chargers type season. I don't think we'll be as successful, but I think there's going to be. It's the same team we had this year.
Yep.
We still got all the pieces there. Look, I hope we cut Derek Carr between you, me, and the fence post. It'll save us, I think it's $30 million in cap space if we do it post June 1.
Yep.
I believe in Rattler. I mean, let him roll. Worst case scenario, get someone else.
You believe in Rattler?
Find something in the draft. I do. I like what he brings. We lost by, a point to the Commanders. He had a great drive. Against blanking here, but I liked what I saw.
Yep.
I think if we continue developing him, what's the worst that'll happen? We go and draft another quarterback. We suck already.
And he wasn't put in the best situation, was he? Like, he came in sometimes mid-game, sometimes with a compromised team around him, replacing Derek Carr. So, yeah, there were certainly some green shoots. I don't know whether I'd be comfortable going in with the season, but Holly?
I think it's a tough spot because you've got a new head coach, a young head coach, his first proper gig. If you get rid of Derek Carr will win you some games, right? He'll win you enough games.
He'll win you exactly 7.
He'll win you 7 or 8 games, and you'll keep
if he's healthy.
Yes,
if he's healthy, and you'll keep your job. Spencer might come out. You might win 9 games with Spencer, and you're like, wow, you've turned this rookie quarterback into a 9-win quarterback, 9-win team. Or Spencer might come out and win you 3 games, and he's terrible. And then you look at Kellen and think, well, maybe Kellen doesn't have it, but really, it's not totally on him because Spencer just isn't the guy to lead your team. And then Kellen gets booted and they start all over again. That's kind of the end of his coaching career. So it's
taking an apocalyptic
well, you look at someone
turn.
like Jared Mago, right, at the Pats. Like, okay, there wasn't great reports coming out of there, but they didn't win that many games. And because of that, he gets the boot. If the Saints don't win many games with Spencer, because that's the path they go down, and then they decide Kellen wasn't the man to lead Spencer Rattler, then all of a sudden Kellen's found himself in this hole with a rookie quarterback after getting rid of someone who will win you half a dozen to 10 games.
So, Jack, what do you want to see then Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis do on draft day? So do you want them to, like you said, put the faith in Rattler after they've cut Derek Carr, so they're not looking for a QB in the draft, they build up other areas?
I want Tedoroya McMillan.
Okay.
I want to boost our wide receiver core. Yep. I think in running back we're fine. Alvin Kamara, as always, he's great. Jamar Williams, if we use him, he's proven to be serviceable.
Yep.
Offensive line, when healthy, they're fine. They're good enough to win us some games. And it's just, I think we've drafted a couple players on defense. I mean, missing Marshawn Lattimore's a big deal, but Adebo coming back will help. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think he can come out and play well as well.
Doss's boy.
I think I love Kool-Aid. Loved that pick. I want Tedoroya McMillan, or if Will Graham, that's him from Michigan. If he falls down to us, maybe him. But for the most part, I think a 3-headed monster of Olave, McMillan, and Shaheed. I think that'll be one of the top tier receiving cores. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think it'll just be incredible.
It'd be a good effort to get McMillan at 9. I can't see him falling that low in the draft.
Is he?
Really?
Is he?
I don't think he's that highly rated. Like, he's okay.
Everything I'm reading is he's going like top 5 or 6.
Nah.
Wow, he must have jumped.
See,
Go, Jack.
because I've seen mock drafts of him falling to the Buccaneers at 19?
Yeah.
19, that far.
I have as well. I think he's
Yeah,
he's
right.
actually one of the unknowns, right? Because some see him as hands down best receiver, and some see him as just in the top 3 or 4. So he's definitely a first rounder. I don't know whether he's early or mid, but we'll find out. Doss, any final thoughts with Jack before we let him go?
Yeah, well, I think, Jack, you really need to get younger on defense at the Saints. There's a lot of highly paid defensive players that are well over 30. Cam Jordan on the edge. I'll be looking for the Saints at pick 9 here. Is that right? Pick 9 at the moment?
pick 9.
Yeah, pick 9.
I'd be looking at an edge rusher. I'll be looking if you're not going to get Abdul Carter, but you get probably the second best edge rusher at that spot, or on the defensive line, because Kyle Granderson and Chase Young, they had 11 sacks between them last season. Not enough production. Plus, Chase Young's a free agent again. And at the linebacker position, you've got Demario Davis, 35, and Tyrann Mathieu, 32. So that for their first 2 picks in the draft, I'd be looking at getting younger on defense. Brandon Staley now is the defensive coordinator, which is interesting. That's the flip of the Chargers model from 2023.
Jack, is that the other part of the coaching staff you wanted to talk about?
I'm actually excited for it, to be honest. I think Diamador Lenore from the 49ers came out and said he's a genius. So
there you go.
I think.
Although Lenore's a bit of a loose cannon, I don't trust anything that comes out of that guy's
He was
mouth.
all right this season. he was better this season. But before we go, why I thought the Saints is because they gave up the second most rushing yards in the NFL last season, and their total yards was the 3rd highest against in 2024. They've got to get better on defense. And that's what I think they need to build and then progress forward probably on the offensive side of the ball next offseason.
Jack, thanks for calling in, mate. You're a great supporter of the show, and we'll speak to you again soon.
No stress. Thanks for having me, guys.
Catch you, mate. Bye. All right, I thought this call might come through. We've got Sammy on the line. Sammy from Melbourne, good, loyal listener. What do you want to talk about today, Sammy?
Is this the mystery voice segment or what? What's going on?
Loyal 5AA listener from back in the day. Is that it? Did you just want to make that gag? Or
Thanks for coming in, Sammy.
I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. So
yes. We've had a few of those, given that this is the first phone-in 3.5 years.
Now, the first thing, I just wanted to do a welfare check on Dawson, Hawley. They've got that very arduous walk up that steep driveway there. So just wondering how they're holding up physically.
We're still waiting on Kurt to buy us our orthotics and our Asics Kayanos because the trek up the driveway is it's scary at times.
How is the calf? The calf fully recovered now?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I haven't had any... I've been running a bit and I haven't had any issues yet with my body.
The driveway has actually been strength training for you. It's a lot stronger than it was a year and a half ago.
As I walk down, you'll see my calf just pulsating.
Well, I had no issues, Sammy, tonight because I drove up the driveway and made that decision.
Now he needs to service his car, though. So.
Yeah. Overheated coming up the driveway. Had wheel spin as well. He
was losing control as he was coming.
Due to the 18% turn gradient that you have coming up there.
You laugh, but in the wet, I mean, the front left comes off the
treacherous.
driveway.
I was on 3 wheels coming up that hit that apex, Kurt, and it just lifted.
Yeah.
I talk about that on the Rally Pod.
I was just going to say, listen to my calls, Rally Podcast. Now, Sammy, I mean, I know you're a Muscle Cat media loyalist. That's certainly a way to describe it.
Yes.
Have you delved into listen to my calls yet, or is Rally not quite for you?
I've heard the snippets, but no, I haven't listened to an actual
dump him.
episode,
Where's the dump button?
Yeah.
Will you be tuning into Baseball Experts?
Yeah, I might give that a go.
Oh,
Are you guys going to be on it discussing the World Series scoreline?
We can if you want us to be on it.
I'm well across Detroit Tigers spring training.
Oh, good.
Right into it.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sammy, while you've got your opportunity?
Well, just obviously, I'm a big Giants fan.
Yeah.
By the way, am I the only Giants fan that's on the
in Australia? Yes, you
are. There aren't many, are there?
I mean,
there's a lot.
Are there?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, go, Sammy.
I mean, I've been going for them since I went to a game at Doss's favourite stadium, MetLife, back in 2014. And it was that night that I sort of had the epiphany like Kurt had on his lunch break a few years ago that I decided to go for the Giants. Hasn't been much success since. They obviously had that playoff win from a couple of years ago that we're still celebrating, I think. But
Vikings away win.
Exactly,
Daniel Jones.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but Doss, give us just the quick. I know you struggle to do that, but just give us the quick, short version. What do the Giants? What do the Giants need? What do the Giants need to, move themselves up the table?
Yeah, we need a quarterback. So that
a good quarterback.
A good quarterback, and we spoke about Matthew Stafford as a potential option early on, whether you look at picking him up in the off season. There's some nice pieces there. Malik Neighbors is obviously good. There's some good pieces on defense as well. The defensive line, Brian Burns is nice as well. Lawrence, Probably, I would say the offensive line and quarterback are the two areas for the Giants.
And because they've whiffed on a few of those picks too, like the Evan Neal one stands out as a wasted first-round pick in the last couple of years. And it's almost hard to assess the rest of the roster without a QB and an O-line.
Yeah.
You agree with that, Sammy?
I would. What about Tommy DeVito? Where do you see his role in all of this?
Tommy DeVito, your thoughts?
Well, depending on who they pick up in free agency, you may see Tommy Cutlets get lobbed out in about week 12. I wouldn't put it past them.
All right, Sammy. I love that from you. Thanks for ringing the show. Thanks for your support. We'll speak to you next time.
Thank you. Are you hard up against the news, are you, or what? Cut me off.
Yeah, we got Kendall Bredding's waiting for us.
Okay. All right.
See you, mate.
Keep up the good work, boys. See you.
Thanks, Sammy.
See you, Sammy.
Brilliant. That guy has been waiting his whole life to be on Talkback Radio, and he is made for it. I love it. Okay, boys, I know this is a phone-in, but I do have to confess to teeing this one up. This is our good friend, Rolsey. That's his nickname. Real name, Andrew. I call him AR. He's known by many names. But all I know, lads, is he's the host, one of the hosts of Baseball Expats, and has the greatest baseball commentating voice I've ever heard. Rolsey, welcome to the Outback QB podcast.
That is a very big build-up that's very hard to live up to, but thank you for the kind words, Kurt.
I was right, wasn't I, Holy? I mean, I played you a clip of his voice earlier in the week, and you said that is perfect.
It's a brilliant voice, Rolsey. And just talking about, we were talking about nicknames off air. So where does Rolsey come from?
It's look, I thought you may ask that, and it's funny because everybody in Australia has a nickname, or most people do, that doesn't make any sense in context or without context. And this one is exactly that. I used to work with a guy who knew of a guy called Andrew Rolls, and he used to get me and him mixed up. So he legitimately thought that my last name was Rolls.
There was nothing
so
to
just
do
started
with your
calling me
actual
Rollsy. And that was 13 years ago, and it stuck. So sometimes nicknames find you, and you don't have anything that you can do about it. So I've been Rolsey from that time forward, and here we are, 2025, and I'm still Rolsey.
Still Rolsey. I like it. That's a good story.
Well, it's great to have you on Musclecat Media, Rolsey. Now, we have been speaking, for the last 2 or so months, working hard on getting the Baseball Expats going. It's an idea that you've had for a while. It's an idea that I had for a while, and it just came together at the right point. So how's the excitement levels for the first episode dropping early next week?
Yeah, really good. And I mean, it's something that Eric and I, my co-host Eric Ballner, who's Canadian, he's probably been in Australia about the same amount of time that I have since 2012, 2013. And look, I think our perspective on the sport of baseball has changed so much since we moved to Australia. We're both pretty fortunate that we get to travel the world covering baseball, I've covered tournaments in Europe and Taiwan and Japan and Korea and South America. So, it's an avenue in baseball that I never really considered living in that United States bubble. We sort of talk a lot about baseball bubbles being, you live places where the sport is played and you don't really consider how, where, when, why it's played in other places. And I think it's something that as the years have gone on, it's really interested Eric and I, obviously because we work in it, but the more conversations with people that we have worldwide, Americans that you meet overseas that are interested about you working in baseball, they're like us, right? They've got to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch their favorite team play. Similar to what you guys have to deal with when obviously you're covering the NFL. It's a labor of love.
Hawley doesn't, but Doss and I do. But Hawley knows it in concept.
Give me a spell.
I've listened to several episodes and that tracks actually.
Thanks, man. Well, look, we do have we've got the What in the World segment just to give a bit away or preview the first episode that you guys did, and you go around to every continent and find an upcoming player in an MLB farm system. Is that right?
Yeah, so we had Michael Clare on, who was a perfect first guest. He's essentially the international beat reporter for MLB.com, does a little bit of work for MLB Pipeline as well. But he's one of those guys that's like us. He's very much entrenched in Major League Baseball. He lives in New York, works for MLB, and has for over a decade. But he's one of these guys that's traveled, and he talks a little bit about that whenever we speak to him. He's traveled to a lot of different places, and his love for baseball has only grown, and his perspective about what baseball is has changed. So he's so good at just finding some of these diamond in the rough guys. And so, yeah, Eric and I thought it would be a fun task to set him with finding us prospects on every continent. We even threw Antarctica, and he comes up with a pretty sophisticated answer.
I heard that one.
Most people would say, Well, most people would just look at you with side eye and go, "What are you talking about?" But Michael Clare, in true Michael Clare fashion, came up with an answer. Look, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but he does come up with an answer to a baseball prospect in Antarctica.
Yeah, I liked it. Tune in on Monday for the first episode of Baseball Expats if you want to hear that answer. There's some great stuff coming up. You and Eric are pros. Really appreciate you coming on board with Muscle Cat. We can't let you go from the Outback QB without asking, who's your NFL team? Where are you from, firstly, in the States, and who's your team?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me this question, and it's bringing up post-traumatic stress for me is what it's doing, because I was born and bred in Arkansas, which is in the middle of nowhere. The University of Arkansas is our only quote-unquote professional football team. But my entire family tree, for as far back as I can date it, is from the city of St. Louis. So we'll leave it there.
Okay. Oh, that is trauma. That's real trauma. See, I had a coffee with Eric a few weeks ago to talk about the show, and he's a Bills fan. His whole family's a Bills fan, and most of the coffee was not about the podcast. It was about the Chiefs beating the Bills. He was just venting.
Yeah,
so.
Well, being a Bills fan is a totally different type of NFL trauma, I think.
It is indeed. Rolsey, thanks so much, mate. I personally am thrilled to have you on board. We can't wait to bring baseball to Muscle Cat, and when the concept popped up in my mind, you were the first man I called. You and Eric are going to do a great job, and can't wait to listen next week.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kurt. Thanks for having us on Muscle Cat. And boys, keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy listening. Always have. So keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully maybe one day, who knows, we'll have another NFL team back in St. Louis. But until then, it's all about the St. Louis Cardinals, baby. Go ahead.
All right, Rolsey.
See you guys.
Catch you, mate. Bye.
Cheers, Rolsey. All
right, boys. Next caller, we got Danny on the line. Danny, what are you phoning in about today?
Hey, guys. How are we going?
Going well. Dos is good. I mean, he's been quiet through some of the calls, Dos, but he's fired up with a few others. So maybe you'll get him going here, Danny.
He wants someone to talk about his Packers. That's what he's waiting for.
Well, Danny's not going to talk about
You're talking to the wrong person.
What do you got, Danny?
Mate, I'm going to give you guys a call. I'm obviously from, well, not obviously, I'm from Newcastle in New South Wales, and we've got the Hunter Gridiron League running here. We've been running for quite a few years.
This is what he wants. This is a power to the people segment. Go for it.
Yes, this is it. This is for DOS. So you've been running for a while. We absolutely love it. We're all gridiron mad. I'm reasonably new myself. I've only been playing for 3 years. I'm in my 3rd season. But I am addicted. It is the best thing ever. We're trying to get more people. So obviously there's a few people out there, I'd say, that are gridiron fans that might play league or union or whatever and want to have a run. So we need some people. Dos, maybe you're the man. Can you move to Newcastle for us?
A move.
Dos has got a real running back vibe about him. He's been gymming it hard lately. He's looking solid. He's got the right height for it.
He's John Kuhn.
Give him the ball and then just let him tunnel through.
What?
Perfect. Well, look, I'm not running back, so you're not taking my spot, so you're in. Sold.
Well, what's the depth chart like there? You're at the Marauders, right?
Correct. Yes, I'm in the Marauders. That's right. Yeah.
Strong team, albeit you lost the bowl final last year.
All right, mate.
That's still that's the same as the Chiefs.
Thanks for reminding me. I appreciate it.
But you had a dynasty. Fair, you had a dynasty going prior to that,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. We won one in a row, I believe, before that, which is very special.
How many teams do you have over there? I'm looking on the website now. Is it 3?
It's down to 3, is the truth. So we've had a few guys move away. We've had some retirements. We've had a few different stuff. And, we've got a bye, which is not bad for my old body. I'm 37. I don't mind having a bye every couple of weeks. But we really want to build it up. So the next thing is flag football. We want to get some people in just to give it a go. So we're going to be setting up a comp later in the year, which is very exciting.
So worst case scenario, if you join up to a team, the worst case is you come 3rd. You're a top 3 team.
Yeah, correct. That's right, bronze medal, baby. Yeah. Let's go.
Bloody oath.
Danny, how would they get in touch? How would they sign up for the Newcastle League if they wanted to?
So the best thing to do would be jump on Instagram and follow Hunter Gridiron League on there. And we're posting all the information about when the comp's starting. And there'll be a link there for that for expressions of interest. So, yeah, that's next step.
Beautiful. And I note you said you're 37. We're all only slightly younger than that, yet you wouldn't know it from the way that Hawley and Dos complain about the driveway and their calves and their noses. I mean, I applaud you for I applaud you for not complaining about doing a calf in this 3.5-minute phone call because they barely got through it without complaining. So well done, Danny.
Thanks, mate. We won't talk about all the injuries I've had, but yeah, we'll see that. Yeah, move on.
We'll do that in the next phone in 12 months' time. Good on you, mate. Thanks for calling and good luck getting new recruits.
Good on you, boys. Thanks a lot for having me on. Cheers.
See ya, mate.
Cheers, Danny.
See ya. Bye.
Danny, they have been through some rough years. Winless in 2016.
Ooh.
Won the championship in 2017.
That's a good
Wow,
turnaround.
that's a rebuild.
But then winless again in 2018 and 2019.
Do I
So
feel
I'm
like
not sure what happened in 2017.
I feel like a star quarterback might have come in
But they
for
were
a year. And
winless in
Whiz.
3 years and then won the championship the 1 year in between.
They won, not last year, the Central Coast won last year, but the year before that, the Marauders
Year
won.
before, they won in 2023, correct?
Yeah.
So
And the
Central Coast won in
Bombers-
24.
The Bombers are the other team.
They won
the
in
league.
2024. So
Yeah.
seems like it's pretty even comp.
It's a good comp. Hopefully growth in Newcastle and that Hunter region, Kurt, we can get more players playing tackle out there, and also flag football, as Danny has alluded to there, to introduce new players to the game without copping the brutality of hits that you get in the unless you like getting hit and hitting guys.
I like it.
Then I know you like getting hit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Outside mid.
Real outside wide
Mate,
receiver,
I'm
downfield.
I'm playing wide receiver, not going
See,
to get anybody.
I'd like to play safety, I reckon. I could play safety or corner.
Yeah, I'd like to team up with you, actually. We could make a good little duo.
We'd
out
be a
there.
good-
couple of corners, a couple of safeties, just
I
helping each
reckon
other out.
just tight, just breaking up passes. Not too many tackles. You sort of have to force them out of bounds, Kurt.
Yeah. Low sack count, high interception count.
Yeah, I'm not blitzing coming off there. The coach isn't sending me on a Spags blitz.
You're not a Carl Hamilton, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
My
Carl
guess,
Hamilton.
my guess with these teams is you're probably playing both sides of the ball in this league.
I'd say so. There's a whole lot of Travis Hunters in this league. In the Hunter Valley. The Travis Hunter Valley. That's what it is. All right, boys, we've got Farnsey on the line. Another great listener of the show. Farnsey, all the way from Newman in WA, calling from your exotic villa. I mean, what a life you've got over there, Farnsey. What do you want to talk about on the Outback QB phone in?
Mate, I just want to. I am the king of defending Justin Herbert. And,
oh, well, that must make Doss the queen then.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it would be fair to say where you have swapped some good notes on Royal Justin. Honestly, my real beef is with Hawley, to be honest with you. I don't know where
what have I said to offend you?
Get him, Farnsey.
Mate, you absolutely tee off on Justin without looking at any of the situation of what he's been put through.
This is correct.
I mean, let's be honest.
What has he been put through exactly?
Mate,
they drafted Quinton Johnson's absolute star at wide receiver.
No.
He was...
No.
He's got Will Dishley at tight end, mate. What more do you want?
Fellas, you need to go back and look at the history, mate. 2022, Doss, you might remember my Chargers jersey ended up in the rubbish bin.
Yeah, I remember.
And who?
Real fan you are then. Real committed, aren't you, Farnsey? You sounded a little bit like Curtis. Curtis and his
Who is
Chiefs.
to blame? Curtis, number one fan since 2019, I imagine.
Get on with it, Farnsey.
Right. No, the truth is, let's be honest, right? Justin got absolutely screwed over by the greatest coach that ever was in the NFL, old mate who now can't even get a defensive job. Oh, that's right, here's who's going to coach with the Saints. Mate, playing all his starters in 2022, got them injured, Big Mike injured, so then they go into their only playoff game, get screwed over. Let's be honest, that absolutely derailed poor old Justin in his first playoff game. So had to move on from him. Now let's look at Justin's injuries, right? Backs, broken fingers, broken arms, broken this, broken that. You tell me another QB in the entire league that has played through what Justin has played through over the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Stafford would be close. Matt Stafford.
Oh, what? Like actual broken fingers? What do you have? High ankle sprains, a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean
obviously
slightly different. I take your point. I certainly take your point that Herbert's been banged up.
He has been. More than
absolutely
most.
Banged up. Let's be honest, Tom Telesco, some of the worst drafting that you'll ever come across.
Yeah.
That old super coach now is getting right.
Are you refusing to say Brandon Staley's name? Is that what's going on here?
Pretty much, eh? Pretty much, mate. Only because I don't want to have nightmares again tonight. Like every time I hear the name, like, oh my God. Like, seriously, what was he doing playing all the starters in that game that didn't count?
Yeah,
Mike
Williams.
Mike Williams got his broken back.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
That's 2 years ago, Farnsey. What about the last little while? I mean, some promise this year under Harbaugh. Surely there's a bit more optimism, and Justin was good, not great.
100%. But yeah, Justin was absolutely fantastic.
He was.
Because he had one wide receiver.
His TD to interception ratio was eighth all time in NFL history. So
you're down on Herbert, Kurt.
He had a very efficient. I don't think I've been that down on him.
Hawley, you haven't been too bad, but Kurt, you always pour cold water on Justin Herbert.
Just like his Josh Allen. Hates Josh Allen.
Josh Allen too.
Because Kurt knows what's happening, eh? He knows what's coming, doesn't he?
What? The AFC West?
As soon as Justin gets his weapons, mate, you and your threesome of Mahomes, bloody Kelsey and Taylor, you'll be off into the sunset.
We don't talk about Taylor Swift on this podcast, mate. I'm sorry.
Curtis, your one saving grace, mate. But you got to be honest. I mean, look what Justin achieved this year with Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey and Will Disley suddenly are receiving tight end. I mean, you imagine you give him a full arsenal of weapons, and I hate to say it, give him Travis Kelce, T. Higgins, and I don't know, whoever, any of those other good wide receivers.
Yeah.
And mate, can you imagine the damage he would do?
No, you're right. And we did talk about, I think last week, Hawley, you had the Chargers and the AFC needs, and you said tight end. Is that?
I think
Colston Loveland, I think, was your.
Or Tyler Warren.
Well, yeah, but I think Warren will
depending
fall,
on what their pick is, yeah.
But yeah, if they finally get a tight end, you're right, Farnsey, and get some consistency at that wide receiver position. Do you think McConkey is a better talent than we all thought, or do you think Herbert just got the talent out of him, or a bit of both?
No, I think he is a better talent than what we thought. So a lot of people had him touted as going in the first round, but I think in his last couple of years of college, he may have been banged up a little bit. So there was some injury issues.
Yep.
Yeah, and he slid into the second round, and that's why the Chargers actually traded up 3 spots to take old Ladd. So they obviously knew the talent was there, and it's probably quite similar to the Puka Nakua story.
Yep.
Like he was banged up and came out of college and he slid to the Rams, and look what he's done. Any guy in his first year gets probably the total offensive yards of nearly 200 in a playoff game, and still lose. There's got to be some kind of talent. So, you imagine like you stick obviously not going to be a T. Higgins because he got franchise tagged, but, somebody else outside him. And then draft, it's obviously a deep tight end draft this year. So hopefully get a quality tight end, and off you go.
I suppose Ladd just needs a good quarterback who shows up in playoffs.
Don't take the bait,
anyway,
Farnsey.
Thanks for coming on, Farnsey. It was good talking to you, mate.
Don't take the bait.
Go have another round of golf and a couple of gin and tonics. See you, Hawley.
See you, Farnsey. Thanks, mate.
Oh, lovely.
See you, boys. Have a good one. See you
later.
All right, boys. Final caller for the first ever phone in. I mean, it's been a raging success. You'd agree with that,
been
right?
A lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. Just recovering from the barbs from Farnsey before.
Farnsey went hard.
Farnsey did go hard. Dan, you don't have to go as hard as Farnsey, but you can do what you want, mate. Welcome to the show. You've interrupted your Madden session to call in. Is that right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've called in, and I was just playing a bit of Madden, and Miami versus Indianapolis Colts at the moment on franchise mode.
Are you a Dolphins man?
I am a Dolphins man, yeah.
And what year of the franchise mode are you in? Is it early and you've still got Tua, or are we 15 years down the track and you've traded him out? Or?
Nah, it's the first season. I like to do like first seasons and that's it, just because it's like kind of replicates what's going on in the real world. But that's just the way I am. A bit OCD with it. But yeah, like I like it, and obviously I'm a big fan of Miami, so I try to keep them healthy. That's the main thing, and yeah.
If Tua doesn't get knocked out in the game,
that's basically my goal.
If Tua doesn't get knocked out in the game, you're happy. What do you want to talk about today, Dan? You've got your chance on the Outback QB podcast.
I've been a big listener of you guys, and you've obviously exploded since we last, chatted over. It's been 2 years now, I think. It feels like 2 years. But yeah, obviously, I had my own podcast back in the day with car racing, and you guys have expanded to a car racing podcast, and I've seen you guys grow, which is awesome. And, me being from car racing to American football is a massive transition, so I thought I'd pop in and give you guys a call.
What was your motorsport podcast?
On the Couch with Hooley.
Hooley. I thought you said Hooley. I was like, hang on a minute. Is there something you're not telling me?
It wasn't me. Was I?
No, on the Couch with Hooley.
Could have been drunk the whole time and can't remember it, but I'm sure I wasn't.
And was this, was it F1, supercars, general motorsport? What was it?
No. Well, obviously, me being a race car driver myself, I used to actually just chat to race car drivers on the couch, and my nickname is Hooley. So, and then obviously I've had a break from that and had the competitive edge to do a sport again, and then decided to do American football at the age of 36. So
it's a bit of a trend. We've had you're not the first guy on the show tonight to be in mid-late 30s that's recently taken up American football. This might be a message to us, boys. Doss, you might need to pull on the cleats, mate.
Well, actually, Dan, I know, plays in the Hunter Gridiron League as well.
Oh, no way.
Rivaling Danny at the Marauders. Dan's at the Bombers.
Oh, yeah. Right. So, okay. So, did the Marauders just win it this year?
No, 2 years ago.
Did you just win it, Dan, this year?
No. Well, I've joined the Bombers this year, but I think the Sharks are the current champions.
Yes,
the Marauders are very strong at the moment. I don't blame them because they've put a lot of hard yards in. But obviously, a lot of the guys here in New South Wales play. I think HCL is like Division 2. So a lot of the guys come from like the Gators and the Rebels and some of the Raiders and stuff. They'll come up here. It's good for extra reps because a lot of the guys in their 30s and stuff like that don't get a lot of field time to begin with. And that was like me at the Rebels. And yeah, it's good to get HCL reps because it's very competitive and it's been a hell of a lot of fun. So, it's good.
Hawley speculated, that's the Hawley in this studio here. He speculated that most guys would be playing like Travis Hunter, both sides of the ball. Is that the case for you, Dan?
I mean, the only time I play both sides of the ball is on special, like going for like a field goal or like a tush push, but that's about it. But some of the guys do play both sides of the ball, but we do try at the Bombers to keep it on one side of the ball. But it's hard because it's 9-a-side and you've only got like about 20 players. So I'd say about 3 to 5% of them do play both sides of the ball, but that's probably more the experienced players. Where myself, I just prefer to play as a defensive back, but
good spot.
About as far as I'm
going.
Good
spot. I reckon I can see myself as a corner too.
Doss wants to play corner and running back. Are there any spots available for him if he jumped over to New South Wales?
Well, I've heard the South Australian League's pretty competitive. I wouldn't mind if one of you guys at least gave have you guys actually done any training reps at any of the squads or not?
Absolutely.
No. We haven't, but that is great content. I contractually can't because of my other job. Hawley's calves and now his nose are shot. Doss, it's over to you, man.
Oh, man, I'd get smashed out there.
Nah, you're nuggety. You can charge through a defensive
I'll be taking defensive back snaps with a red shirt on. I give you the tip right now.
Well, we should go to the park and we'll run a few routes ourselves.
We could do that.
And we'll see how we go first.
Well, look, Dan, I mean, I appreciate it. And I can tell you're a podcaster because what is it now? February, we've got a couple of things coming up, but then we'll get to June, and that is the winter of content as far as NFL is concerned. So all of these ideas come back to me in 3 or 4 months when we are desperate to get something on our Instagram.
I would love to see one of you boys just go to one of those teams and just give it like a few reps out there. Go to the OTAs and just, film it for content. It'll be actually pretty cool as like a listener.
It's actually a great idea.
Just seeing you do it. Like obviously, I mean, it depends how hard you want to get hit. Like obviously me now being a player like the other guy who you've called as well.
Yep.
In the 30s, like in special teams and all that, you do get heavily hit. But I think in OTAs, it's just, as you said, it's more so routes and just basically, formations and stuff. So I think personally, if you guys actually film that for YouTube, it would be pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like
I
you can
agree.
obviously interview each other. Yeah, I
agree. We'll put Doss out returning some punts on special teams.
Oh yeah, I'll be doing non-contact drills.
I'm happy to punt. I'll punt for Doss to return them.
Yep. And I'll film it, boys. Someone needs to be behind the camera.
Muscle Cat Media covering all our physio and recovery bills, Hawley.
You don't get healthcare at Muscle Cat.
Jeez, all right. Well,
we don't need it. Live in Australia. Yes, Dan.
Curtis, is it you that's an AFL referee that I read on Wikipedia?
Well, if you read on Wikipedia, I think you know the answer, Dan.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I was just checking. Checking.
It is
because
yes.
I didn't actually know that. But bar that. Yeah, you guys have done awesome with this podcast though. Because honestly, like as a listener, seeing you guys from the start to now, it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like you've got 5 shows going on, and Thanks, it's great seeing you guys succeed. Yeah.
No, thank you, Dan. We appreciate that. Look, today has been a bit of a celebration, really. We've spoken to a few of our long-time listeners that we haven't been able to chat too much, and Dan, we know that you're certainly one of those. So thank you for your support, mate. Thank you for phoning in. But I can't let you escape without giving us a prediction for the Dolphins this year. Give us just a record and Tua's fate for 2025.
Well, I think he's possibly. It depends if they draft on like the O-line. They need a lot of guys protecting him because they're just folding at the moment. I do think it will be another shaky season, and I think Mike McDaniel will probably get the boot.
Oh, don't say that. I love him. Don't say
really?
that.
He's got this energy about him that annoys me.
Yeah, but I have an energy about me that annoys you. So,
oh yeah, you do, but I still hang out.
Kurt just likes him because they got the same sort of hairstyle.
I was about to say they're actually the
mannerisms
similarities
and
between Kurt and Mike.
And he's the only guy in the whole of the NFL outside of Rodrigo Blankenship that I could beat in a fight.
God, don't get ahead of yourself, Curtis.
Yeah. Dan, comment?
Yeah, I reckon I'll go 8-9. I don't think they'll make the playoffs next year at all.
All right.
I just think they're in a rebuilding phase, and they're just frustrating to watch. The reason I actually went for Miami is because my mate who used to play AFL back in the day as a kid, his dad was a massive Dan Marino fan, and it just came through there. And yeah, but it's obviously agonizing to watch them, get so close like a few years ago, and then yeah, it's just topsy-turvy, you know what I mean? At least I'm not a New York Jets fan, so that's all I've got to say.
That's right. We've also had some sad Giants fans ring in and a few other franchises that have been battling, so you're not the worst off out of our listeners. Thanks for calling in, Dan. We'll speak to you next time, mate. I really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, boys. Thank you.
See you, mate.
See you, Dan.
Bye.
All right, boys. Dan's the last one. That's the phone in for the first time, Dos. Thoughts? Happy with that?
It was a fun episode.
It was fun. It's gone over time, and we were going to do what the NFC needs for every team.
Yeah, it's going to have to go to next week.
We'll push that to next week because we've got an hour of content already, and we have to get on and do a few other things. But we're not done yet, are we, Hawley?
We're not done yet, mate.
You thought I forgot, didn't you?
No, I didn't think
Where's the music?
Yeah, here we go.
Hold on, let me get it up. This is actually a call-in or a DM.
DM from one of our listeners, Hans.
So our whole show has been contributed by the listeners. Well done.
Well, all right. You ready, fellas?
Yeah.
So if it's no good, it's not my fault.
But if it's good, it's also not your good work.
It's how I deliver it. Why did the Mexican take anti-anxiety medication? For his panic attacks. That wasn't too bad.
That's really good.
Now, I have to be honest here. I read that as for his panic attacks, and it took me a good minute or two in the car to actually work out what was going on here. And then I read it again, and I was like, "You're an idiot, Christopher. It's his panic attacks."
It's very clever.
It's a good.
That's a good one.
He said joke of the year.
It's good.
It's a good one.
That might be up there.
Oh, come on.
What?
Joke of the year. So I've had some that have been better than
Taste Buds was good last week.
You like Taste Buds?
It's been a good 2 weeks for the joke of the week.
That was a good one.
It's been revived after the Richard Gosling lit it up over the postseason.
You know what? That was the spark the segment needed. Yeah. Richard really went hard, and
which one was that?
He emailed in and said that is it time to bench it. We did the survey.
Yeah,
and he got 78% approval rating, which for any politician is quite fantastic.
Yeah, that's quite a landslide if you're being honest about it.
We're not a big fan of Richard anyway. So.
Yes,
we are.
Richard.
No, he's the real R. Gosling.
Not after that.
Yes, he keeps the show in check. He's criticised me a few times, Rich, but it's not just baseless and abusive criticism like Pat from Paynham to you, Hawley. It's actually constructive, and I go away thinking, yeah, I think Richard had a point.
So you don't go away thinking, I want to hunt Pat down.
Well, you know where he lives. I mean, you can narrow it to Paynham.
I'll just knock on every door in Paynham. Maybe I'll do that one day.
All right, that's next week's show. All right, boys. Well done. Great phone in. Thanks everyone to everybody who contributed and called in. We'll do that again soon because that was good fun. If you missed out this time, I know there are a few others that wanted to get on board. We will get you next time. But for now, that is the Outback QB for the week. We'll see you all next week.
We're on Facebook and TikTok now, Kurt, Instagram, YouTube.
If you haven't subscribed already, if you just have stumbled upon the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. Don't forget as well, the Baseball Expat starts next week. Monday is the first show. If you're an MLB or international baseball fan, make sure you listen. Baseball Expats, we're the Outback QB podcast. See you all.
All painting and building if you need your house painted.
See you all next week.
Bye, guys.
I am getting you to do another job for me, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk off air.